Welcome to the Three-Man Weave college basketball show hosted by sportsbookreview.com. I'm Matt, the hostess with the mostest, joined by the usual suspects, Ky and Jim. And fellas, before we do anything today, let's just exhale because we finally have a lighter slate of games after a grueling slate yesterday. I look at the card tonight, and to my right, I see roughly 25 games on the docks. And it's a well-deserved break. So I think it's time that we can slow down, pause, reflect. We'll get to our takeaways here in a bit, but first, let's plug some stuff. We got SBRodds.com, SBRpicks.com. Make sure to like, subscribe, check out all that stuff for all the best content. You get our best bets, you get our content. It's all right there. But first, we want some takeaways from last night. Jim, I'll start with you. The late night and the doubleheader of what was maybe the best game of the season or featured two of the best teams in the country. Baylor, Illinois. What did you learn from that one?
Maybe the best game of the year until Saturday when we get Baylor and Gonzaga. Sure. And that's what I learned, is that Baylor might be on Gonzaga's tier. They hit the gas about halfway through the second half, maybe a little later, six or so minutes left, and went to a gear that maybe we weren't quite sure they had. And Jonathan Tchamwa Tchatchoua, Matt, your boy, really showed out the defensive side of the ball, kind of playing that Freddie Gillespie role, diving for loose balls, getting extra possessions on the offensive glass. Baylor, they might be up on that Gonzaga level. We're going to find out on Saturday. Can't wait for that game.
Yeah, Jim, in full disclosure for the folks out there, Jim stole my takeaway, so I've had to come up with new on the fly. As I improvise in my head, Ky, what did you learn last night?
It's pretty obvious what my takeaway is, guys. Mizzou is confident. We are a confident basketball team. That's right, repping the Tigers again. The Tigers took down Oregon. They looked good. Oregon was without Will Richardson, their best player. So that was news to us pregame. Obviously would have been on the Tigers had we had that information. But a win's a win. That's going to look good come tournament time. That's right, I said tournament time. Mizzou, SEC champs, calling it right now. Yes, all the way. Homer.
Maybe a 1 seed? I don't know. We'll see.
1 seed.
What's stopping us?
Nothing's stopping us.
The way the SEC's look this season, Mizzou might actually be a top 4 SEC squad. Who knows? Hey, it's early in the year. It's the time to overreact. Even though we warned you yesterday, folks, do not overreact. My takeaway is as follows. Florida, it's a rerun of last year. The Gators struggled mightily with Army. Honestly, the military school has been pretty impressive to start the year, but to see Florida again show signs of wasting all those collection of toys and the assets in that war chest, very frustrating. Mike White is on our naughty list so far as we approach the holiday season. But we're going to talk about that game in a second. First up, in our slate of games tonight, we go back to Bubbleville. UConn versus USC, the Huskies versus the Trojans. And let me tell you, this USC team, BYU was one of my early bets of the Tuesday slate. And I was down early because the Trojans looked like, a well-oiled machine. Evan Mobley, the 5-star freshman there, is, he's unfair how skilled and how fluid he is. We've been holding this UConn team up all season. We've been banging the Husky drum. Ky, do you buy into this USC start, or are you going to look more at what happened in their opener when they basically needed overtime to escape Cal Baptist, a bad Cal Baptist team? Which Jekyll and Hyde version of Trojans do we get tonight?
Yeah, I think this is a better test for USC. For UConn, it's their first test of the season, first of all. They played Central Connecticut. They played Hartford. Not great games, those two games. Didn't inspire a whole lot of confidence in UConn. But there's a big guard advantage swinging towards the Huskies tonight. James Bouknight is excellent. He's going to get what he wants against USC. The main thing why I like UConn, though, is because of their size. They have the requisite size to combat USC's bigs. They have Isaiah Whaley. He's a terrific shot blocker. They have Tyler Polley, who looks healthy after a knee injury last season. And then Sanogo, burly freshman. That's 3 guys they can throw at USC in the front court. That's why I have a slight lean towards UConn in this one, but no official play for me in this game.
I'm going to argue that the best 3 guards in this game are all on UConn. I think Bouknight's pretty clearly the best. And then RJ Cole and Jalen Gaffney, I would take over Ethan Anderson or Taj Edey from USC. And that really concerns me for the Trojans. I'm not sure how they generate shots. I mean, BYU clearly had a bit of an athletic disadvantage against this USC team, and UConn does not have that. They will play more physical defensively. They're going to get up in the shorts of the Trojans guards. I'm not really sure what they do other than throw it to Evan Mobley, and Whaley can, do at least a decent job containing him. I lean UConn here. I don't love Danny Hurley, but I like him more than Enfield. So, yeah, I'm probably leaning UConn, but not quite taking at this point. Matt, what about you?
Jim, I had the same concerns. I think we all did about the USC guards to start the season. But what I saw from Drew Peterson, the lately approved waiver from Rice, kind of a secret weapon there. Like he brings up the ball. He can kind of initiate some offense. He can shoot it with deep range. He adds that element that this team that's just loaded with athletes and length really needs. He was kind of the killer against BYU. I think he's the kind of the X factor in this matchup. I think you both touched on it, though. The length and the size of both teams will negate each other on the offensive end. That's a wink teaser for my best bet of the day. But to get that, you'll have to stay in to the entire 30-minute program. Sorry, folks. That's just the way we have to tease here. Moving to matchup number 2 in Bubbleville. As we alluded to briefly in the intro, the Florida Gators taking on Boston College. Florida looking to wipe away that just disgusting effort against Army yesterday. A game they probably should have lost. But they're taking on a Boston College team with all kinds of weapons. We've seen Winston Tabbs and Mekhi Ashton-Langford, two prolific guards that really set the tone. They've looked fantastic early. Kai, I'll start with you here. Do you think the Gators bounce back in this one, or is it a continuation of the disjointedness, the lack of chemistry that we saw yesterday?
Yeah, like you said, sort of a typical start we've expected from the Gators under Mike White, unfortunately, the last couple of years. This game played pretty fast. So Mike White, maybe not blowing smoke in the offseason about wanting to play faster. Of course, Zach Spiker for Army likes to play fast as well. 75 possessions. Who knows if that'll be the norm for Florida games? We'll see. We've talked about BC, Boston College, for ad nauseum on this program and our podcast. I still think they're a pretty solid basketball team. They've had a brutal schedule this far and have kind of competed in every game they've played. So with the Florida team still shaking off the rust, apparently, and a spread that's around 7.5, I like Boston College. That's going to be one of my plays today. It might be a little bit obvious with Florida's struggles with the Army, but I really, truly think BC can hang with them all game.
Make it 2, Kai. I'm joining you on that BC side. I just don't trust Florida as a favorite right now. I mean, they looked out of sorts defensively all first half against Army, and granted, it was their first game against Army's fourth game. But BC's got plenty of experience and far more weaponry offensively than Army does. More weaponry than Army. Can you believe that? But I also lean towards the over. I don't think there's a ton of stops. And I do think Mike White realizes he needs to play faster with this roster. I'm just not sure he knows how at this point. He's kind of like, I guess I just let him run. I don't know what that means. But so I lean towards the over, and I'm taking Boston College. Matt?
Yeah, he started to press late in that game a little bit, Jim. He sprinkled in a couple of times throughout the game. But, yeah, White really is just confused on how to utilize all those weapons. Army just drove the ball at will into the lane and got kickouts for threes, and the Florida defenders looked like they were robots. It's like I must help dribble penetration, and, the closeouts were very methodical. And Army can shoot it. And guess what? Boston College is just a more athletic, faster, just as good of a shooting team as Army. So if Florida is overly rigid in how they rotate and they overhelp, which is how they played yesterday in the half court, I see a lot of open looks from BC. I think the over could play well, and I will give a third cosign to Boston College as an official pick, though not a best bet. Again, those are coming at the end of the show. Sounds like a weak consensus on the Eagles, so don't let us down, Jimmy Christian. We need you tonight, as do the Chab mobsters and their wallets.
Hey, shout to the chat. We will take Boston College plus 6.5. So. We're not using stale lines. We are using the current line.
Jim, any initial takes from the chat? I know we have a lighter slate tonight, so this is an opportunity, chat mobsters out there, to throw out some requests. We'll be happy to pepper our takes in throughout the show. Anything early, Jim?
Alfred Chung is bristling at us, saying that we take
Chung's
stale
my
lines
guy.
after the show. So
Chung, I'm going to call him out. Man. You got to bet him live right now. Yeah,
you say the line that's on the show, and you listen to the show, you get that line, and if you don't, you're going to see that line later. So. Sorry, Alfred. That's kind of the way it is. We're going to say what's on the show, and we'll tell you what we think with the current line as of the show. Matt, back to you. Let's move on.
It's tough to hear from Chung, who's my guy. But all right, let's get out of Bubbleville. We're going west. Pac-12 after dark. Yes, we have conference games in December. Is it December now? I've lost track of time. This is 2020. But yes, we have conference games early in the Pac-12. We'll start with the first one tonight. Arizona State taking on Cal. Arizona State, a team we've talked about in this program quite a bit so far, definitely an enigma team. We warned everyone to start the year that this team would only play on one side of the ball. Defensively, they are a sieve. You're going up against a Cal team who is sort of learning how to play that same side of the ball, offense. They actually have shooting this year, which is kind of a crazy thing. When you associate Cal and Mark Fox, you think ugly, grimy. But with Ryan Bentley, the Penn transfer coming over, they have McKelly Foreman. And then Fatty Matty Bradley, Jim, our boy, shooting it. They're actually taking threes at a top 30 rate this year. So it's sort of an odd thing to see with Cal. But does that bode well for the over with two teams that like to score? Or do we think Cal's, grinded out pace prevails here? Jim, I'll kick it off with you.
I think the Arizona State weakness defensively is more in the paint, and they just cannot stop anybody inside. And Cal's not really built to take advantage of that. But I do think they can score, and a home dog here in a conference game with a team I don't really trust on the road. I wouldn't be able to lay the Arizona State -7.5, -8. That I'm not able to do that. I'm actually going to take Cal just because that home dog early conference game, don't fully trust Bobby Hurley's defense. So yeah, potentially sets up for the over, but Cal, I think +7.5 is where it's at right now. That's what I will take.
I'm about the over, Matt. I like what you're dishing out over there. I don't think Cal can stop Arizona State's guard tandem. I mean, Bradley, Foreman, Bentley, pretty good shooters, offensive players, but D'ing up that trio, I don't think it's going to happen. I hope Verge is healthy in this one. I think he might be coming back. Offensively, I think Cal can pretty much get theirs with their shooting ability. We've talked about Arizona State's lack of defense. I don't see a huge home court advantage for Cal at all if you're looking for that angle. Is there ever a home court advantage in Berkeley? I'm not really sure. So for me, the spread is right around where I'd have it. However, I will take the over, make that an official play. I don't know if it's sitting at 145 right now.
There's been some steam down to 144. I believe it opened at 147. Yeah. I agree with you both, just from a matchup perspective. I think the over could play well here. And Kai, I mean, even though you don't think of Berkeley as like a house of horrors that's up there with the Karen Indoors or Fall Gallen, Cal was impressive last year at home. I believe I was trying to find the ATS stats at home last year. They were very, very good. And just a couple other things to note. Arizona State so far is 1-2 on the under. So yeah, the lack of defense is playing well for the over. They're 2-1 on the over is probably a better way to frame that. And the lack of defense, 0-3 against the spread. So Arizona State, as we all predicted, overhyped. The betting markets still probably haven't caught up to yet. There's probably a few more games where you can fade them and have value. So tonight, I think, is a good one. I will co-sign the Cal pick as well. Let's move on to our second Pac-12 matchup of the night. Washington, where to begin with Washington? Taking on Utah, traveling to the mountains of Utah. Again, another Pac-12 opener here. Washington scored 42 points against UC Riverside after getting annihilated by Baylor. This offense is just out of sorts. Mike Hopkins talked about they're trying to instill a floor guard offense. It clearly is not working. It's basically the Quad A Green show, the former Kentucky transfer. If he can't create anything, the offense just stagnates and is stuck in the mud. Jim, I'll start with you. Do you see this as a buy low spot for Washington, or is Washington just a team you want to stay away from with a 10-foot pole at this point?
I think Washington's just bad right now. They don't have any offensive weaponry besides Quad A Green. Without Naz Carter, I just don't really have any interest in touching this team. I mean, Utah is coming out of COVID quarantine and might be pretty sluggish offensively. So if you really have to do it, fine. I get it. Take the underdog in the conference game. But, man, I am not interested in touching the Huskies. I can see under being the side here just because conference game might play a little slower. Utah not as sharp offensively off the COVID shutdown. And Washington just will not be sharp offensively all year. So that might be the edge. I have no play here. I'm just kind of not avoiding watching this, what should be kind of an ugly game. What about you, Kai?
Yeah, Washington sucks. This spread, it's huge for what we'd probably expect in the preseason. Right. I mean, 8 points, that's a lot of points. I'm not touching Washington until Naz Carter gets back. Apparently he's worth 8 points because they can't seem to do anything without him on the floor. We do think Utah is going to be better this year, but as Jim said, coming out of COVID is a little bit shaky. Who knows? You know, I wouldn't touch Washington with a 10-foot pole right now, so I'm staying away completely from this game. It's just interesting to see the spread open to where it's at. Also, Matt, I have like 6 games written down from the chat if we want to do a break after this one.
Chad is active, baby.
Let's get to him because I had no trouble. I mean, I actually might play Washington small. I won't make it an official pick because they're so bad. But behind the scenes, I might be a small taste on Washington just from a buy low perspective. 7.5 is a big number. All right, Jim, kick us off with some chat questions here.
I saw Dominic Iadavia. I know I'm butchering that, but he said Drake at 9.5 is good. I sort of lean towards Omaha there myself. I also kind of like the over. I think there's a lot of points in that game. Omaha's been very willing to run early in the season. Either of you have a lean there? What about you, Kai?
Definitely lean the over. I actually like Omaha. I take Omaha on this one with the points. Drake's looked really good this year. They might be a lot better than we think, but I'll lean Omaha.
Man, we are group thinky today. Yes, I lean Omaha, and I like the over even more. I think the over might be an official play for me. I'm seeing that total sitting at, is it still mid-140s right now?
I believe so.
I believe it is. The only issue here is that Drake is pretty good at controlling the tempo. I'm inclined to think they'll play a little faster this year because they don't have Liam Robbins, the 7-foot monster inside. They're playing Tremel Murphy at de facto 5. So you would think that might translate to more up and down, but they usually play very much in the half court. So hopefully Omaha can get the pace going up and down, and that will play well for the over. Sean
P. asked if Q's gets back on track. It's going to hint towards our best bet section. We'll hear more about Syracuse.
I'll give a Family Feud. Nope, they do not.
There's a giveaway. Luke Beasley asked about Louisiana Tech versus ULM, a battle down in the Bayou. I think, Matt, you might have the biggest lean there of this group.
I do. I'm going to be on Monroe tonight. Louisiana Tech's a very formidable team. They have most of their players back from last year. Monroe lost quite a bit, but they have a stud JUCO kid coming in. I just think it's a big number for me this early in the year. I think this game will play closer to like 7-8 points. If you're catching double digits, it just feels like it's a little too high for me. So I made this number around 9. So I will be on Monroe.
All right, and our guy Worm asks about the rematch of the day. Drexel Quinnipiac going back at it after Drexel took them behind the woodshed last night, won by 18 in a low-scoring drag-out affair. The total is 7 points lower than it was yesterday. I think maybe due some to the back-to-back and some to the game yesterday being so low-scoring. Does Quinnipiac keep it close this time around, Matthew?
Yes, this is a chumble one where you get knocked down, you get right back up again. I was on Quinnipiac yesterday.
Whiskey drink.
I see the line closed 6, and it opened 7 today, and obviously, the final was, I'm looking at 18 margin. So you'd argue that at first it was like, oh wow, 7, they overreacted, and it's like, well, no, the line closed 6 yesterday, so it actually makes sense. Quinnipiac without one of their key players, Tyrese Williams, they have some other options there who can create, but he's sort of the alpha. Tough loss. I will be taking Quinnipiac again at a smaller number. I just think it's a slight overreaction for two teams that are fairly equal in caliber. So to be getting 7 on a back-to-back rematch, it feels like there's good value there. So I will take the dog again.
All right, we've got a few more. We can maybe save them till the end. Do you guys want to hit 1 or 2 more right now?
Let's do one more.
We'll do one more. NFL guy asked about Seattle and UCLA. I did just get a notification that Jalen Hill will play tonight for UCLA. Johnny Juzang remains out. Do we think the Bruins finally get a little bit of a blowout win, or is it another close call after losing at San Diego State, going to triple overtime with Pepperdine? Kai, what do you think?
Nothing official for me, but I would tread lightly taking UCLA as a huge favorite quite yet. They haven't proven to me that they can cover such a high number. And Jim Hayford, the coach for Seattle, is somebody who we really respect. He makes good game plans. He can slow this down. Not that Mick Cronin is trying to run him out of the building anyway. So I'd actually lean towards Seattle, although I'm not going to play this one.
Matthew, anything?
Yeah, hands up. It's a stay away. I'm still trying to figure out Seattle. They're working against some key new pieces there. They seem to have found a gold mine in this Darian Trammell JUCO kid, though, who's been like their best player. But yeah, this is a stay away for me. I'm still learning about both teams at this point.
Yeah, Seattle brought in 3 guys from the same City College of San Francisco team that went 30-0 last year. So maybe that JUCO class will be good enough for them. But I don't know. We'll see. All right, Matt, should we move on to the mid-major matchup du jour?
To mid-major land. Yes, we should. Absolutely. Let's start with our first mid-major showdown of the night. We have Marshall taking on Wright State. I believe the Weavers have some strong takes here. We actually have a Weave head-to-head, me versus Kai. Let's put the boxing gloves on, Mr. McKeon. I'm going to kick it off to you first. In chat mobsters, choose your sides wisely. Loyalty will be remembered. Betrayal will not be forgotten. Kai, tell the folks where you side on this one, and I'll come right back at you with the counter.
Yeah, I've been going really back and forth in this one. So on one hand, you have Marshall, who's played a game already. They didn't look very good against Arkansas State. but they have played. Versus Wright State, who hasn't played yet. I believe they had some COVID concerns. Wright State's at home, maybe not so much of an advantage there. I just think it's a little bit of a disrespect to Wright State, who's arguably the best team in the Horizon this year, being a dog in this game. And I love Marshall. I'm a Marshall guy. So it pains me to lean towards Wright State with the points in this one. If Wright State gets to 2 or higher, I certainly like them as a play. I like the over, Matt, though, and I know you like the under. Marshall, it plays at a top 5 tempo in the country, even against Arkansas State, a team that likes to slow it down. That was still a 77-possession game. Both teams didn't shoot the ball very well. So I think this one gets up and down, even though Wright State likes to be physical and played through loud and love. Over is my stronger play in this game. It's probably an official one for me.
Yeah, I think you bring up the key point why I like the under. I think Wright State, their first game of the year, Scott Nagy, one of the coaches we hold in the highest regard in this program, he's smart enough to know that in their first game, they're not going to try and get into tracking with Marshall. I think he makes it a clear point of emphasis. He underscores it 3 times on the whiteboard in the locker room pregame. We have to win the tempo battle. Their best players are bigs. They're going to play inside out. To do that, you have to establish a half-court offense. You have to play methodically. And I think Wright State dictates the tempo, and that favors the under pretty hard, in my opinion here. Jim, which side are you on, me or Kai?
I lean towards the under just from we've talked about so much and how every coach says they're going to speed up. So for Nagy to say, I need to slow it back down in the offseason with this team, I lose my point guard. I've got a roster where the best players are bigs, like you said. It makes more sense for them to play in the half court. And Nick Liloya in the chat said, Jeff Goodman, Wright State got out of quarantine 2 days ago. That scares me off a little bit on Wright State, although if in a normal circumstance, I'd probably side with Kai on taking the Raiders at home here as a home dog. But yeah, I lean Wright State, but I can't go as far as making either an official play. I'll let you two duke it out.
I have no take on this side. I'm actually just excited to watch 2 good and major teams. I think both teams are, at the top of their respective conferences. Certainly will be vying for NCAA tournament spots. But again, me and Kai, a 1v1, we've battle. We'll see who comes out the better man, the bigger man in that one. Let's move on to mid-major matchup number 2.
Nope.
Actually, it's really only half mid-major number 2. Apologies to Oklahoma Boomer Sooner out there. Right. Disrespect for me to call you a mid-major. UTSA will be playing Oklahoma, and I believe it's the 4th year in a row these 2 teams have met. UTSA coached by Steve Henson, a former Lon Kruger disciple. And Oklahoma has gotten the better of UTSA in the last 2, winning handily. I believe the last 2 times they've squared off. I'll start with Kai. Do you see a three-peat of that type of outcome tonight, or does UTSA keep it close in Oklahoma's first game of the year? Again, back to that theme, teams in their first game struggling here.
I'm worried I had UTSA a little overrated, so I'm going to stay away from the Roadrunners. They didn't look very good against Rio Grande. Part of that was Javon Jackson apparently not being very ready. He was suspended for the first game. He played off the bench, just scored 10 points. Keaton Wallace had 6 points, shot the ball terrible. The team was 4 for 20 from downtown. Oklahoma is a team that can blow teams out. They don't play necessarily super speed, but they can definitely blow teams out, especially against a team that likes to run. In UTSA, Oklahoma has no problem playing with them, playing with their tempo. I actually like the over in this game. That's going to be a bet for me. I think UTSA can score. I think Oklahoma scores way more. So that's going to be my official play in this game.
Yeah, I lean the over as well. I think they will run. They're willing to run with each other. Matt, you mentioned that they've played the last 2 years. Steve Henson, a Lon Kruger assistant for 5 years at Oklahoma. So it is kind of a coach relationship there. Clearly, the master has sort of owned the student to this point.
Yep.
And I could definitely see that continuing. I don't have a play on the side. I liked Oklahoma when this was supposed to be played on opening day, and Javon Jackson was supposed to be suspended, but COVID delayed it. So now I do lean towards the over because I think UTSA offense will be a little sharper than it was against Rio Grande Valley. Their usage was all messed up. Last year, it was all Jackson and all Wallace, and those two didn't really get a ton of shots up against Rio Grande Valley. I think they more than make up for that this time. There's a lot of run and gun going, and Oklahoma in their first game will be willing to play kind of loosely and get up and down the court. So I lean the over here.
Yeah, Jim, to your point about Wallace and Jackson, UTSA's 1-2 punch, I believe they were the highest scoring duo in the country last year by a fairly significant margin. Wallace with 6 points, Jackson went 10 points in the opener against UT Rio Grande Valley. And that game only played to a 70-possession game, so I anecdotally agree with both of you that the over feels right, but that's a little bit of a concern. I wonder if that's just a blip on the radar, or if that's a start of a trend where maybe Henson's not going to play like true Roadrunners and maybe play a little bit unlike their mascot's name there.
Yeah, Matt, I was going to say it's at 153.5. I'm gonna not. It's not an official play for me at that number. Just a lean. So
too high for me at that one too. Yes.
Yep.
Too rich for our blood it is. Jim, any chat mob inquiries that we need to address right now?
I mean, we could do a rapid fire after our picks, or we can hit a couple now.
Well, I mean, based on yesterday's performance, I got to think the folks are clamoring for some best bets here. Wait, we did pretty well on best bets, right? I think I have the record in front of me.
Pretty well.
Somewhere.
Yeah. I got mine wrong.
Well, the Dons delivered, and as did the Dukes, so we thank you to those squads for...
and the Jack Bunnies, man.
And the Jack Bunnies as well, that's right.
Jack Bunnies.
Jack Rabbit, South Dakota State, for those of you unfamiliar with the lingo there. But Iowa State, not a good basketball team, just a quick aside. Let's start with Ky for your best bet of the evening. Where are you going to put your money tonight?
Guys, I'm going Niagara. Plus 21, I believe, is the spread right now. You guys can yell at me if that's not correct at the moment. You need to shoot to beat Syracuse, plain and simple, and Niagara can shoot. In fact, that's all they really want to do. They're the 25th best three-point shooting team in the country last year, return a lot of guys, including Marcus Hammond, one of the best players in the MAC this year. They also take care of the ball, which is important against Syracuse. 22nd last year in turnover rate. Syracuse is going to be missing Sidibe, their big man inside. Now, they're still going to dominate the glass in this one. Syracuse is way bigger. Niagara, one of the smaller teams in the country. However, I think the Eagles can shoot enough in this game to keep it close. And this is key, the Greg Paulus factor. Former Syracuse quarterback Greg Paulus goes up against his old school, his alma mater. He never played basketball, just football. So we like the Niagara Purple Eagles in this one, plus 21.
Yeah, locking in. I think we got to take 20, Ky. That's what 20? I'm seeing flat across the board.
I'll take 20. Boom.
Still a play for Ky. Still a play for me as well. I will join him on Niagara. Matthew, are you making it 3?
If it's nice, make it thrice. I will also be on the Purple Eagles here. Greg Paulus did a phenomenal job last year of smoke and mirrors, slowing the game down against better opponents when he knew he was outgunned. And he will be in this one, although Syracuse isn't the typical athletic, super fast team, super long team. They're actually, it's little more like it's like looking in the mirror with Niagara. They have some shooting, they have some skill, and without Sidibe inside for Cuse, I think there's actually some vulnerability. Not that Niagara's going to dominate inside, but I think Niagara can get some points inside the arc as well. They won't have to hit like 23s just to hang around. I think they can actually find some versatility in their scoring. Jim, we'll go to you for your best bet of the night.
Nope, we're going to you, Matt. We're following the outline.
Yes.
So close. I got it this far. I got it this far.
With the outline raging on. It is fierce. It is vicious.
Well, I was still deliberating my best bet, but I guess I teased so blatantly in the opening section here. I'm going UConn USC under. I just don't think either team scores with that much efficiency against the other. Evan Mobley had a field day against BYU's bigs, while Matt Harms is a force inside. He was a little hobbled in that game. I think UConn's a different beast, and you flip that on the other side of the ball, I think UConn tries to score against USC's defense, which under Andy Enfield the last year basically has reformed itself into a man-to-man, very stingy unit. He's no longer playing that stupid zone and wasting the assets and talent he has. I think he's actually weaponizing that athleticism. So I think the under is the right play here. Jim,
138.5, Matt.
Yep. I think I got 138.5, 139. That sounds right. I will still take it at that. It still has my endorsement. Jim, over to you for your best bet.
Best bet of the day for me will be Northern Kentucky, becoming a bit of a trend on this show. The Weave best betting against Tennessee Tech. I took Indiana on opening day. Ky took Chattanooga. Both of them got there. Maybe not the easiest of bets, but they won. Tennessee Tech playing a back-to-back after losing at Xavier last night. Now I got to cross the river over to Northern Kentucky. Pretty easy travel, but back-to-back is still tough, especially missing your starting point guard in J.R. Clay and Tuate Williams, a sophomore starter last year on the wing. So they're shorthanded. They're playing an NKU team that does have a game under its belt and has had a little bit more time to rest and prepare. I will take that officially at 11.5 is what I am seeing. Oh, no, 12. 12 is what it got up to. So NKU minus 12. that is my bet. I don't know if you guys will be joining me. Gosh, I do see 12.5, 13 now. Even I'll still take it at 12.5, 13. Is what we'll lock it. So.
Yeah, stronger play at 12 for me, Jim. Love the Northern Kentucky pick. I totally agree with you there. 13, I'll probably, I'll still take 13. Yeah, we're going to get into picks here, or chat questions here, Matt. So I need to pop in with one big man on campus. He does the Big Man on Basketball podcast, which I'll be on tonight. Stay tuned for that.
Great plug. Great plug.
He likes Iowa first half and Eastern Illinois. Well, fellas, we've gotten a couple questions about Eastern Illinois. And yes, I'm going to continue fading Chicago State tonight, taking the Panthers. I'm on Western Illinois full game for small, so Iowa can win the first half, but that spread is like 36. I had to get something on the Leathernecks there. Those are my two leans for those games.
Yeah, Iowa built to blow teams out, so I could definitely see that happening. WIU turning their roster over, completely new coach. Could be a little disjointed to start, but the number's just too big for the full game for me. It's going to be hopefully coming in the back door or something at the end. But, yeah, taking Iowa. And, look, there's no benefit to betting on Chicago State at this point. They haven't proven they can compete with anybody. I think it's EIU or nobody. Matt, I'll cycle through a couple more chat questions here.
Go for it.
Larry Gibson asked about Montana, Southern Utah. I like Montana there on the road, opening up the Big Sky Conference. Matt, where do you lean there?
I like the over. Todd Simon, Southern Utah's head coach, has been very adamant that he wants to really pressure, make everything a full court game. He's had some health issues the last couple of years. I think with a fully healthy team and some depth, you saw in the first game against LMU, it shattered the total, and I think you're going to see Southern Utah be a good over team. So I'm on the over here, Jim.
All right, over for you. Noah asked about UMass Lowell and NC State. I think a couple of people actually asked about this one. Kai, I'll kick it to you. I think you're a dog guy here, aren't you?
Yeah, Riverhawks. Let's go. UMass Lowell. They've been really good this year, guys. They beat San Francisco. They hung with Ohio State most of the game, almost beat them as well. NC State, not a great power team thus far in the season, so I think Lowell can hang in there. Play within the number. I actually saw this number go up from the opener. It went to it touched 16. I'm not sure where it's at right now, but that's the side I would lean. Riverhawks.
Yeah, I'm with you on that
17.5 right now.
17.5. Okay, so someone's probably out for Lowell. We gotta check that.
That's concerning. All right, chat mob, get on the research there. We're gonna put you to work here with some homework. Because I was gonna co-sign Lowell. NC State, they beat up a bad Chuck South team to start the year, and North Florida is sort of finding their way too. So I think they may be a little overinflated right now.
Yeah, I'm going to be taking a long look at 17.5 myself. Mary Lou Navita asked about Liberty St. Francis, Pennsylvania, the Red Flash. I'll just come out and say I like the under there. I think St. Francis, PA struggles to score. They were missing their best player, Ramir Dixon Conover, last time out. He was the hero of the Pitt win. So without him, I think they might struggle to score against the pack line. I like the under there. And then Nick Leiloa asked about Winthrop, Little Rock, and/or Citadel, NCAA. Kind of like the over in the second game. I think both teams want to run, and they will gladly do so in a non-conference matchup. Not a strong take on Winthrop, Little Rock. Either of you want to jump in on that one?
I'm just excited to watch that game.
Yeah, right.
I love this Winthrop team, man. They are so good. And Little Rock, too, of course. They beat Duquesne by 10. Two of the best mid-majors in the country.
Yep. I lean Little Rock, Jim, I guess, if I have to choose.
I think I do, too. It's almost like that. I kind of said it yesterday with Duquesne, the rock, paper, scissors of, Winthrop beat UNCG.
Yep.
Little Rock beat UNCG themselves. So, yeah, I kind of lean Little Rock there. Kai, am I missing any big ones out there that I haven't gotten in the chat? I think we've hit most. Idaho, Southern Utah. Matt, I'll kick that one to you.
Idaho, Sacramento State.
Sacramento State. Sorry. Yes, I am. I have a big fat bold on this game, I should say, for the over. I think Sacramento State is going to be a very different type of team this year. A lot of points, and Idaho coming out for their first game of the year, they could struggle to score. In fact, they probably will. But I think it's an up and down type game. I guess the counter to that is it's a conference game, so maybe it plays a little slower, as both of you mentioned offline. Still, I like the over in that one, Jim.
All right, I think that more or less wraps up the chat. Noah Dickerson is saying he does not see any UMass Lowell injury news. So that's good.
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
Keep climbing, baby. Keep climbing.
Must be fake money then. Love to hear that. Thank you for the research, chat mob. Thank you for your questions. Filling in some content gaps here with the relatively light slate tonight. Folks, we will be back tomorrow at the same time, your regularly scheduled programming. Again, make sure to check out SBRodds.com for all your price shopping, SBRpicks.com for all the content analysis breakdown, including our stuff there. We'll catch you tomorrow. Take care.